The ancient Giza Plateau was an interesting place, and it shows water erosion, especially in the Sphinx enclosure. There's been ground penetrating radar around the various paws of the Sphinx. The history of the Giza Plateau and parts of the Sahara was an ocean at one time. Surprisingly enough, there's been ancient riverbeds around various portions of the Nile. There are recognized dates for the construction of each of the three main pyramids. The third pyramid has an even divisor for the moon, as if it's a resonant antenna for the moon, for maybe neutrinos or some form of dark matter. The second pyramid corresponds. From the Sphinx enclosure to the second pyramid is the shaft of Osiris and some shafts that might connect the two. The second pyramid has a resonance divisor for Mars, and the pyramid has a divisor for planet Earth. So, let's get into all of that. Hello, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. If you don't have to do anything, don't subscribe, don't do anything. There's not going to be any push the button, anything like that. So this is I told you so video, and what I noticed is that a new discovery was made for the Giza Plateau, an ancient riverbed, which has always theorized to be a part of the Giza Plateau, was in the news. I'll bring up the articles. So you always see the Great Pyramid from a certain angle. If you see the back of it, you see that there's a cliff face and a loading dock and a dried up riverbed there. Um, so the causeway is a different age than the other pyramids. There's workers' quarters on the Giza Plateau. So the first thing about the Giza Plateau is that the whole plateau has giant megalithic blocks. It's been created. So that's the first showstopper for anything as far as the age of the site is concerned. Just stop right there. It's ridiculous. Just the plateau itself. For some reason, people all want to have these forcible opinions on the pyramids, how they were built. They're all experts. So I took cultural anthropology, physical anthropology, and archaeology, and some higher anthropology as well. So, but that's not my major in college. Uh, but so that's my interest. So the other thing about the main pyramid there, it's the mortar has been carbon dated. There's a lot of different blocks used. Uh, there's a going narrative of the creation of the say the Great Pyramid and its dates. So if you do the narrative of the Giza Pyramid, they'll give you a certain date. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Um, they found a like besides the river, they found like a site that they think is a like an underground passage. I mean, I've seen videos where people think that there's a labyrinth underneath the Giza Plateau. Like those paving stones on the Giza Plateau are a roof. So possibly, right? So you can read the Giza narrative here, and people feel very strongly about this narrative. Um, but they're open to like people who want to go visit. It's tourism for them, and deep down, I mean, there is something going on, obviously. So there's a certain date for the building of the Great Pyramid. Okay, so this river, the Strata River grid, leads right up to. I mean, it's where all the see the ads on these things freeze my computer. Um, it'll just so these see that river, the old river, like all the pyramids are there. So one thing that I always hear them say, and educated people too, they didn't have the wheel. So without showing you all the hieroglyphs with the pharaoh riding a chariot, okay, they had the wheel. And not everything is a temple. Everything in archaeology is a temple before 100 years. It's not at all. All of them, those things are not temples. Okay, so um, why they keep saying everything is a temple? So here's the article. Majority of Egyptian pyramids was built along a long lost branch of the Nile, archaeologists say. This is in Science News. Archaeologists in Egypt have identified segments of a 64-kilometer-long extinct branch of the Nile, which they named the Aramat Branch, running at the foothills of the Western Desert Plateau. Obviously, they had the wheel. Obviously, they used the Nile. Like, you don't have to have letters after your name or visit the place, 1, 2, 10 times, 100 times. The problem is that um, the date for this river system is not the same date that the Pyramid of Giza, the Great Pyramid, was said to have been built in a 27-year period, which, if you do the math, they would have had to have put in, 100-ton blocks every few seconds. Um, yeah, those ads just keep crushing my computer. It's crazy. So there you have it. It's I told you so. There's so the dates this is not even getting into the date of the Sphinx, the causeway, each of the pyramids on the Giza Plateau, the Giza Plateau itself, the various structures along the Giza Plateau, and there's a new portal, like a stairwell basement access that's just been discovered as well. So, let's see the dating of the Great Pyramid. You have the mortar has been carbon 14 dated. You have two wooden objects in museums. There's the pole that was found in one of the shafts and a wooden box. And those both carbon date before the pharaoh that was supposed to have built the Great Pyramid. That's an issue. Um, the There is another chamber that has been found above the Grand Gallery, which the Grand Gallery and looks like a door with ropes that you could open and close it. You need like 7 guys or 7 teams of guys to pull the ropes to open the big door. So what happens if it's not a tomb? What happens if the Great Pyramid was like your storage unit when you're a pharaoh, and then you just go ahead and leave the stuff there? Or, and they had other burial tombs. Like there's so one of the Great Pyramid, one of the 3 pyramids, there were 2 mummies found, and there were the dates on them varied. They always say another thing you keep hearing is they never found any mummies in the pyramids. One of them had 2 mummies in it, and they were like 1,000 years different. So the story of this thing, just they can't get their story straight. It's so you keep visiting and tourism, keep the interest up. I think it's important to be very respectful because everybody is trying to get to the truth and science, and no one is trying to deceive anyone. With this issue, we're just all trying to find answers to what it is.